Hello, BookTube. It's a bright sunny day, and I have a rubber band and an ordinary jar of nail polish remover. And that means it's time for TBR Torture. I have 6 books I want to show you. 3 I have already read, all 3 are recommendations, and 3 I have not read. So we shall see. We'll examine them together. We'll do the 3 that I haven't read first, and the first one I am expecting to like, because it's a Penguin Classic, but it could go either way, because it's a Penguin Classic anthology. They struck gold. A little while ago, they did an anthology, the Penguin Book of Witches. They did the Penguin Book of the Undead. And these struck gold. Readers love them. And booksellers also love them because they're easy to recommend. And they're doing another one. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Of course, such a thing will rise or fall according to the smartness of the editing team that you have put together. And this is the latest one. This is the Penguin Book of Mermaids. This is the Penguin Classic Book of Mermaids. This is edited by Christina Bakilega and Marie Alohalani Brown. And I believe Marie Alohalani Brown is an associate professor of the undergraduate chair in the Department of Religion at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. And Christina Bakilega is a professor and the graduate program director at the Department of English at the University of Hawaii, at the same university. So, and this is just a collection of mermaid folklore from around the world and throughout time. Among the oldest and most popular mythical beings, mermaids and other merfolk have captured the imagination since long before Ariel sold her voice to a sea witch in the beloved Disney film adaptation of The Little Mermaid, which is getting a live-action adaptation. So the author's contention that mermaids are hot, hot, hot is probably true. As far back as the 8th century BC, sailors in Homer's Odyssey stuffed wax in their ears in order to resist the sirens, who lured men to their watery deaths with song. The sirens weren't. They were avian, though. They weren't mer creatures, right? You throw a siren into the water, they'd drown, wouldn't they? More than 2,000 years later, the gullible New York public lined up to witness a mummified mermaid specimen that the enterprising showman P.T. Barnum swore was real. So I'm looking forward to it. These anthologies always please in one way or another, especially since they bring me stuff I've never seen before. And then this next one is from the publisher 12. They're lots of fun. They're very enterprising, very smart people over there. This one, I think, is probably going to appeal to a film wonk out there more than it's going to appeal to me. I love movies, absolutely love them, watch a ton of them, whatever I get a screener for, because I don't actually put on pants and go to movies. I mean, really, I have my limits. But I love them, but I'm not a film wonk in the way that wonks always are. And I think this would appeal more to a film wonk than it would to me. This is by Shea Serrano, and it is Movies and Other Things, a collection of questions asked, answered, and illustrated. And some of the questions are, this is very film nerdy. Do you think this movie villain would be a good hang? I'm assuming that means good to hang with, not to hang from a tree. Let's see. Are the velociraptors in Jurassic Park just misunderstood? Which movie had the more intense opening, Face Off or Finding Nemo? Which kills are in the action movie Kills Hall of Fame? That one has 2 parts to it, and so on and so forth, and all with sort of trendy illustrations throughout. It'd be interesting to see. I think it's probably supposed to be a kind of conversation starter for stoned parties, but I'll see what there is of interest. I'm not sure. The reason I say it's probably for a film buff and not for me is because I'm worried that I won't know half the movies that are referenced here, or that I won't know them well enough. I don't follow all the cults. So, and then the last book that I haven't read, the last of the 3 that I haven't read, I have read its 2 predecessors, and I know already, even though I haven't read it, that it's going to break my heart. Just break my heart. It's going to ruin me. I'm going to read it last for the evening so that I can just launch into a day and walk off what is going to be tear-inducing sadness. This is the photographer Joel Sartori, and this is National Geographic's photo arc. We've seen on this channel the whole length of this series. The first one was simply called the photo arc, where this photographer brings these animals into his studio and puts them against backlighting and films them in intense detail. So it's not just an ordinary wildlife photograph. It's instead looks like a person, which is the whole point, is that these are people They are our fellow Earthlings. And the second book was the Bird Photo Archive. And this third one, both those volumes included quite a bit of conservation facts, the conservation status of all the animals that were being photographed. This one is only about conservation. This one is Vanishing. This is the next photo arc, Vanishing. And it is all about the animals that are either drastically endangered or already extinct. Whether there are living members walking around today or not, where there are no wild members anymore, there are no wild populations. So this is gonna crush me. Let me look at the back. That is an example of the photography of this genius guy. Every page is like this. Just a close, personal portrait of the creature under consideration. It's a Tasmanian devil. A close, personal portrait. I lose hours looking through these things, just hours. And I know that's going to happen again, only unlike the photo arc and the bird arc, the hours lost here have a theme, because conservation almost never succeeds. So the first part of this book is called Ghosts, and it is about animals that are either completely extinct, the ivory-billed woodpecker is in here, an intensely close photograph of a taxidermied example of one of the last living, one of the last living examples. So not a live animal at all. The first section of this book is called Ghosts. It's all about those, and then we go up from there. So I can already recommend this book without any reservation at all. You know the ride you'll be on with it. It's rough. It's a rough ride to take. Especially if you believe, as I do, that there is no happy ending here. Conservation has built into its bones, into its DNA, the possibility of a happy ending. Okay, if you believe that, then this will be less hard for you to take. I can recommend it either way, though, because you especially if you have children, you're just going to lose endless hours in these things. They're so beautiful. I would recommend, we have a major holiday gift-giving season coming up. Get them all. Get the photo arc and the bird photo arc and this one. But anyway, those are the three books that I haven't read yet. And now, in this TBR Torture, we will turn to the three that I have read. They are all recommendations. The first one, I think we might have seen it on this channel. I'm not really sure. This is Janet Nelson. She is a professor emerita of history in England. And this is her book, King and Emperor, a big new biography of Charlemagne. And it's terrific. Beats all hollow any other Charlemagne biography that I've read, and I've read all of the ones in English. It beats them completely. It's not just a question of her interrogating the sources. She does that really, really well. It's also how she writes it. The sort of dry humor and the wonderful insights into personality all throughout here. Just amazing. Just amazingly good. This is a September release. I don't think that the pub sheet actually gives me a specific date in September. No, it doesn't. Just says September. But if you're interested in historical biography, this is 700 pages you're just going to love. You're going to love every page of it. So I strongly recommend it. It's a big highlight as we move into the big doorstop biography season. We had a few of those in September. We're going to have many more in October, many more in November. And I want you to remember this one, because this is a tremendous example. This is from the University of California Press. So I have no idea what kind of distribution it'll have in your local retail bookstore. Then this next one is from Restless Classics. And we've seen it already on this channel. This is the finished copy. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. I don't know that I have a release. Oh, I do. I have a release date for it. This comes out in a $22 paperback. It came out in July. What? Okay. It came out in July. I don't know why I just recently got this, but one way or another, I'm glad to have it. This is Virginia Woolf. This is Night and Day by Virginia Woolf. And it's lovely. This has the French flaps. Just a lovely trade paperback edition of this book. With an introduction by Lauren Groff, who a lot of you are going to love. She's been compared, certainly, many times by lazy members of my profession to the modern-day Virginia Woolf. But this is a Woolf novel that I just love. It's very straightforward, very classical, you might say, conservative in its narrative inventions, and it's so literary. It's all about books in the literary world and writing. I always get this way with Virginia Woolf. When I finish a recent reread of one of her novels, I always say, "Oh, that's my favorite." And then the next time I read something else, that becomes my favorite. But I really did appreciate this, and I'm very happy that Restless Books just they have this mission. They keep bringing out classics in these lovely trade paperback editions. So they did one for the short stories of Chekhov that I think we saw on this channel. It was lovely, and this is even nicer. So, and it's going to be a trade. It is a trade paperback in your bookstores now. And then the last book on this TBR Torture, the last one that I can recommend. I've recommended it already, but I want to recommend it again. This will be the last time I talk about it. I got the finished copy, and I reread the first half of it. Just, I don't know, because I missed the character. I missed the character. I will read you from the pub sheet this time, as I don't think I did that last time. This is by Kwame Mbalia, and this is Tristan Strong, Punches a Hole in the Sky. This is YA. Can you see that? Can you make out that glorious cover? That is a high school student, and behind him, you are right to perceive John Henry. So let me read this. Let me read this to you, give you a bit of what we're talking about here. Because this comes out in mid-October. This is going to be a finished copy in mid-October, and it is delightful. Just delightful. Let's see here. 7th grader Tristan Strong feels anything but strong ever since he failed to save his best friend when they were in a bus accident together. All he has left of Eddie, his best friend, is the journal his friend wrote stories in. Tristan is dreading the month he's going to spend at his grandparents' farm in Alabama, where he is being sent to heal from the tragedy. And of course, his grandparents have always creeped him out a little because they're much closer to the rich oral folklore of the American South, which is a world he's headed into, whether he knows it or not. But on his first night there, a sticky creature shows up in his bedroom and steals Eddie's notebook. Tristan chases after it. Is that a doll? Some of you will know this folklore. And a tug-of-war ensues between them underneath a bottle tree. In a last attempt to wrest the journal out of the creature's hand, Tristan punches the tree, accidentally ripping open a chasm into Mid-Pass, a volatile place with a burning sea, haunted bone ships, and iron monsters that are hunting the inhabitants of this world. Tristan finds himself in the middle of a battle that has left black American folk heroes John Henry and Brer Rabbit exhausted. In order to get back home, Tristan and these new allies will need to entice the god Anansi, the Weaver, to come out of hiding and seal the hole in the sky. But bartering with the trickster Anansi always comes at a price. Can Tristan save this world before he loses more of the things he loves? And I am here to tell you that this is fantastic, YA. Just fantastic. This is everything that it should do. This is just YA just done perfectly. Let me tell you the author's bio note is choice. Kwame Mbalia is husband, father, writer, and pharmaceutical metrologist, in that order. A Howard University graduate, went to the great Howard University, and a Midwesterner now in North Carolina. He enjoys impromptu dance sessions and Cheez-Its. Okay. Can't really argue with either one of those things. So this comes out in mid-October. I promise I won't beat you over the head with it again. I know that I've already sung its praises. I want to sing its praises one more time because it's a winner. So, request it from your library, that sort of thing. Buy it if you want to. I'm sure that the author would love it if you bought it. You will love it. It is not yet another pastiche on Greek mythology. It's a totally new world to explore. So there you go. That's a little TBR torture for you with an egregiously tired bean. We have Tristan Strong, Punches a Hole in the Sky. We have Night and Day by Virginia Woolf. High time you reread some Virginia Woolf. We have King and Emperor by Janet Nelson, a big new biography of Charlemagne. Very, very good. Probably the last word on Charlemagne in English for quite some time. At least I imagine so. Even though there was one just recently. There was one just a couple of years ago. This is even better than that. Then we have Vanishing, the latest photo arc. This one about critically endangered or just plain gone animals. We have Movies and Other Things, a heavily illustrated sort of stoner conversation starter about various movie things. And lastly, the Penguin Classic Book of Mermaids, drawing on folklore and mythology from all around the world. Because this is anywhere there are people who have access to bodies of water, there have always been stories of people living in the water. So can't wait to see. Some of the stories will be familiar to me, some of them will not be. So there you go. That's a little TBR torture for you, with a couple of really strong recommendations. One sad, a couple not so sad. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.